Hey guys, welcome back to Unqualified Critics. So I've got Benjamin here from Piepacker. Benjamin, say hello.
Hi, I'm Benjamin from Piepacker.
There you go. So I'm super excited to talk to you. You're somebody handling your PR reached out to me a while ago, had an existing relationship with, and he said, "Hey, check out this Piepacker thing." My first thought was, "What is Piepacker?" I was really confused. So now, since then, you've kind of done a soft launch, and more people know what it is. But could you just tell us, just your view of your vision for Piepacker, and then where the name came from? I know that's what everybody wants to know.
It's a very awkward story. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Piepacker is a online multiplayer platform to play retro games. And I think the core concept of Piepacker is we were trying to fill a void it's really hard today to easily play your, retro games with your friends. You need like complicated setups or you need to install stuff. And we want something that is simple. So we built this directly in a web browser, and all it takes is a friend, a click, and internet connection, and you can enjoy your favorite retro games with your friends. So this is kind of like the elevator pitch for Piepacker. We want this to be like more social and fun. So we included video camera, and it's actually interesting how the video camera became a thing for us. We did not think of this. It actually came from people misunderstanding the products. My co-founder Jules and I built a initial version of Piepacker that was just a an emulator that you could use to play with your friends over the internet with just a web browser. And we ask our friends and family to, can you play this with your friends and tell us what you think about it? And please record your screen so we understand how you use the product. We can collect data. We shared the prototype with them, and 2 to 3 weeks after, they sent us back the prototype and the videos of them playing. And my co-founder and I are very puzzled. We're like, my God, nobody understood what our product is about. We were gamers. We were expecting people to play the game. But what happened is that people actually put the game on one side of the screen, and on the other side of the screen, they were using Google Meets, Zoom, Hangout, whatever, to talk and see the people they were playing with. And they were actually hanging out. It was not really a pure gaming experience. It was something different, a hybrid. It was feeling very much like, when you were younger, sitting with your friends at home on the couch, playing cool games together, looking at their face when they're losing. It was this, and it felt very good. It felt like, oh my God, we are recreating a virtual living room where you can sit with your friends, family, and live these great moments on, retro games. And it sounded amazing. And this is really how Piepacker was born.
What do you think it is about retro gaming that pulls people together like that? Because I'll tell you, as you know better than me, you have a ton of industry experience, and we'll be sure to get into that because I have some questions about that. But there are a million ways to play games online, and they generally don't create that kind of atmosphere. I mean, I'll jump on to Xbox Live and you just jump on and play, even if I play with a friend. Like, we don't have video chat up. We don't, it's very like functional. Like, all right, we're going to organize as a team in COD or whatever, goofy game I'm playing. It's not that like hangout, relax atmosphere. And I remember when Netflix launched a kind of virtual, I forget what they called it, but you could watch virtually with your friends and you'd both watch at the same time. And that feature I thought would be a big hit, but it kind of fizzled out and it got retired. And so my point is, we have all these online engagement points. A lot of them are socially oriented, but they don't take that next step to where you have the cameras on and you're talking. You had that even when that wasn't a feature built into Piepacker. That's your story, right? People just sort of organically did this. Do you think it's because it's retro gaming? And what is it about retro gaming that inspires that?
So when I look at retro games, and we spent a considerable amount of time talking with publishers, people who made retro games or games like
Sure.
20, 30 years ago. And like, by the way, so one of them is Kenji Matsubara, is the former Sega president and is a formal advisor of the company, and is with us, helping us in different ways.
Nice.
And talking with the gentleman, one thing that came out is a lot of these games were designed for what we call today a more casual audience. They are very easy to pick up. Think about Mario. The tutorial of Mario is the first level. this game teaches you how to play Mario by trial and error, and you experiencing the game. And I think there was kind of like this desire for designers at the time to create experiences that will fit arcades, that will be
Absolutely.
very quickly accessible, that will be easy to play but hard to master. And I think this is something that evolved, and I'm not saying it's better or worse than now, but it was a different approach to gaming and different approach to game creation. And a lot of these games, like let's think about a Bomberman style game. It's such a simple concept. When you talk to game makers today, this will qualify as casual or even hyper casual. This is literally one button game.
Right.
You drop a bomb and you move around. But yet,
there's so much strategy depth. It's not fair to say it's casual.
I think a lot of these games, and this is why we also carefully curate these games, we don't intend to be the back catalog of retro gaming. We want to focus on like the iconic cool games that work very well in a couch gaming setting. But if people want to play their own game that is more specific or that is not part of our free catalog, they can do so by becoming a premium users, and they are able to bring their own games. So you have a little bit for everybody. If you want to play casually, we have a free option. We have 60 licensed games that range from Worms on PlayStation 1 to Micromaniacs to Rage of the Dragon, if you like more, hidden gem in the fighting games.
You even have Loaded, which
yeah,
I had a PlayStation original for very short period of time, like a couple years. And I only ever had a few games for it. And that was one of the only games. And I hadn't seen or thought about that game in years. And I saw it on your list. So I thought that was funny personally. I thought, man, I haven't played this in forever. I barely remembered it. But once I saw that artwork, I knew it was the same game. But yeah, anyway, continue.
That's awesome. And yeah, and like the idea for us is really to find these games that work very well with your friends. We put them for free.
So is it the simplicity that you think makes it so inviting to have conversation and community around it? Is that the key of retro gaming that makes it simple?
For sure, accessibility. And the entire product is about this. This is convenience and this is accessibility. I always, so when I talk with partners, investors, like media, I always remind people of this amazing story of gaming, Game Gear versus Game Boy. And I think this is a perfect illustration of what we're building here. The Game Gear is an amazing system. It's by Sega. It had amazing screen for the time. The games were awesome. Like there were so many good things about this product, but was so consuming in terms of batteries. It will suck batteries so quick.
Yeah.
And this was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Compared to the other option that was, it had on the Nintendo Game Boy black and white screen.
Yeah.
Games were more simple in terms of visuals and a lot of things. But you know what? It was cheaper. It was very convenient, more robust when you were on the go, because it will be, less consuming of your battery.
You didn't need that anchor behind you, that you couldn't go anywhere with a Game Gear without the AC adapter.
Exactly. Yeah. And really the same, when you think about cloud gaming today or services, they are pretty high end, like Google Stadia, PlayStation Now, amazing services.
Right.
But they require pretty large bandwidth. They require most of the time installs, hardware, different things, subscription. And there is not the Game Boy of cloud gaming right now. There is not this kind of laser focus on accessibility, simplicity, and fun. And we really want to build this. We really want to build this and start with what we love the most, which is retro games.
I'm going to follow up on something you just said, because when I first saw your survey, well, not first, but as I dug into it, okay, this is cloud retro gaming, but is it really cloud approachable gaming? And maybe it doesn't have to be retro, but retro is a really approachable category that's kind of easy to infiltrate as a starting point. Is that a fair way to put how you look at it or not?
I think it's a fair way to a certain extent. First of all, I don't think we're a pure cloud service. And to be in all fairness, we are more a hybrid system. When you play single player modes, the game is going to run directly in your web browser, and which is great. There are a lot of occurrences where you don't want to use your internet bandwidth and you want to play the game with zero latency. when you play online multiplayer, and for all platform or any other, online game, you can, expect some form of, latency depending on the quality of your connection. This is the same for Fortnite or, Call of Duty or Piepacker. And we really wanted to separate the two experiences. When you play solo, we cannot go with a simple cloud service. Otherwise, you will experience, if your connection is not perfect, some lag, and that's just not acceptable. If you want to play multiplayer, then you know the risk of online multiplayer, and it's a different experience. But even for the online, we built this with this kind of low-tech attitude. But when I say low-tech, it's not like in terms of simplicity of the architecture, but in terms of like, how can we make sure this will run on a freaking potato that is plugged into your computer, like kind of.
Sure.
And the way we approached this was like, first of all, we have the state-of-the-art solution, which is, we have a server beam the internet stream. It beams the internet stream, the video stream to your computer, and you control the video stream, which is, every other retro or cloud service out there. What we do is we also work with a technology that is called GGPO. And for people who are like more techie, they might have heard of this thing. It's basically rollback networking. And games like Street Fighter V or a lot of like other, big fighting games, they use a similar technology. The way it works is that the game is going to run locally on your computer, and it's going to run locally on the computer of your friends. And we're just going to synchronize the two instances of the game, looking frame by frame if you're at the same point in the game. If you're not, if we see like there is a difference, we roll back to the previous states that were like the exact match. But it happens so fast that you cannot see this with your bare eyes, and you won't see the difference when it's rolling back. So it's a kind of like magical way for us to also do peer-to-peer. So we can also be very efficient if you're not very close to one of our servers, or if you're in some place in the world, or if you're just off the grid and this is just a LAN and your friend is somewhere else in the house, and you don't want to be on the same screen for any reason.
There are so many products and services that have died trying to force cloud gaming. And because, the economics of it are appealing, and there's a lot of reasons you want to do all-in cloud gaming, but if it's not perfect, it can be a problem. So that's interesting that you're splitting the difference. You're allowing localized play, basically. You're not trying to force everything into the cloud, which I'm going to guess, and I don't want to make this too business oriented or whatever, and kind of at the risk of putting people to sleep, but did you get pushback from that from investors? Did they want everything in the cloud, or did they not care about your mechanisms of delivery as long as you got the engagement?
We have the full control of the company, and and that's probably something that we'll discuss a little bit more. But when we started this venture, a lot of us had very strong backgrounds. Like prior to this gig, I was the head of research strategy at Twitch. I led analytics at Facebook. I was running like live video and a bunch of other analytics team at Facebook. I also worked in many big game companies like Ubisoft, EA, Gameloft, and I did a lot of stuff. So when I started this venture, and I started this with really, really awesome people. We have on the team people who worked at Blizzard Activision. We got their marketing director strict from New York coming working with us. We have a product manager that had worked at YouTube, Stripe, Google.
So you guys have enough domain expertise that the investors said, okay, we'll leave it up to you.
We're special and in this sense, and which is good because we are all industry veterans and we're also gamers. And I was not going to compromise on anything. If we make a service, this is a service that I will use as a gamer. And like many other gamers, my expectation is very high for what a good service should be. And for us, this was the bar. So when we made this decision to have a hybrid experience, it was not because of the economics or the investors. It was just because it was good as a gamer. And this is what we are. This is a service made by gamers for gamers who generally love the space. And I created this because I wanted to play with my family, with my friends, and this is something I wanted, and that's it.
So for anyone watching thinking about starting their own company, this is the value of starting a company where you and your colleagues have a lot of experience, because if you don't have that experience, the investors won't trust you to make those kinds of important decisions. and they will instead push investor-friendly decisions, which could be a problem. So interesting for that background, Benjamin. Thanks. On your website, obviously the logo or one of your big hero images is like a console, basically like an artistic interpretation of a console plugged in. And I know as part of your offering is you have these adapters, but I couldn't find anything about that on your website. Are those available now? Are they coming soon? Can you explain how that works? But it basically takes like an NES, right, or something, anything from these earlier era consoles, and gets them online. Can you talk through how that works, though?
For sure. So this is something that is exclusive to the Kickstarter. And actually, I think I can share my screen. Is that okay if I share my screen?
Yeah. Well,
page real quick.
Well, let you, if not, send me the link and I can put it up.
Okay. Trying to share my screen here. I think it's just going to be much faster if I do this at the same time.
Oh, there you go. It'll let us. There you go. You're in.
Okay, cool. This is awesome. So I'm going straight to, actually, let's go directly from the Piepacker page. And on the Piepacker page, you'll see the Kickstarter button going there. And so the Pie Reader, the intention with this is actually interesting because, you know, when we started to think about Kickstarter, is more a way for us to start the worldwide launch of Piepacker. We wanted to have a key events that will be really special and something that we could share with the community. We had a very successful soft launch in France, so we had for over a little bit of 2 months, over 100,000 players trying and playing on Piepacker, and they really helped us to define the product. They shared so much feedback, and we wanted to thank them. And we did a survey, and we're like, guys, what is your fantasy as a gamer, and that could be applicable to a product? What is the dream stuff you'd like to be able to do with Piepacker? And a lot of them said, I have so many cartridges and games at home, and I want to be able to play them on Piepacker, and I want to be able to play them over the internet with my friends. And we're like, oh my God, like this sounds like really awesome. Let's try to build it. So we gathered, and we're a bunch, of engineers. So we like, okay, we can figure this out and build something. And we decided to build this accessory, which is like again, this is an accessory, so it has to be connected to your computer, which is you have this base here, and you can connect the adapter. And actually, if I run the video here, and
nice.
It shows in detail what this thing is about. And it's very simple. You grab your game, and I'm going to advance this here. How does it work? So you have this adapter parts. The adapter, you have one for each console. Right now we support NES, Super NES, and the Genesis, or if you're in Europe, the Mega Drive. And we also bringing like the Game Boy and GBA support as a stretch goal. So you put your game in there. You simply connect this to the base and turn this on. It's going to be detected by your computer. And all you have to do is literally, once you accepted the platform, is to start the game and share the link with your friends. So she's going to share this link, share it on Discord with her friends, and she's literally playing a cartridge over the internet with her friends. And this is kind of like the Pie Reader. The Pie Reader is just a USB accessory that is exclusive to the Kickstarter that allows you to play over the internet your own cartridges, physical cartridges with your friends directly from a web browser. They don't need the Pie Reader. They don't need the cartridge.
Perfect.
They just need a web browser and time to spend with you.
What's the point of the 4 controller ports? So is there a scenario where people would want to play this locally through this adapter?
So we do have a local mode. So you can play locally with your friends the game. And we have the offline mode coming too. One of the reasons we did that is that we have a lot of people who want to play with the original pads, and they have these USB adapters to plug it to a computer. So we wanted to allow people who wanted to play on the original hardware controller directly on our device. And this device, and this is kind of like, you're the first media to get the news. We're also working on the ports for the Android TV. So, like Android TVs right now, they can support forms of Google Chrome. So it means we can be on Android TV. So there is definitely a world where plug directly your Pi reader to your Android TV, and it's going to run directly on your TV without the
Just like a real
computer
console.
at the middleware. So it's more an
Awesome.
accessory, but yeah, definitely some components of the console here and there.
Very nice. And then I'm going to guess there are some cartridges that won't work because obviously back then, annoyingly, different cartridges would have different physical specs. I mean, do you have like a list of cartridges that don't work or that do work? Or I mean, in terms of compatibility, is there anything you can share, I guess?
So in terms of compatibility, it's super simple. If it doesn't work, come on our Discord support channel. We'll make it work. That's as simple as this.
Oh, wow.
Right now, we a bunch of people are already trying it. There were a few cartridges that had special chip. We
Right.
make sure of the legality of this, so we make sure that there is no specific patent on the chip, that we can reproduce it or emulate it. And when our law firm validate that, we then can do the implementation. But so far, there should be like no big restriction. And if something doesn't work as expected, we'll make sure to make it work as soon as possible, or let know the community that this game won't run. But so far, we haven't found any game that is a big like no on the
Nice.
platform.
So, and this hardware, I just want to restate this, that's exclusive through Kickstarter right now. Is that right?
It
So
is.
people want that. That's where they need to go.
Yeah, we don't intend to sell this and commercialize the product after the Kickstarter at the moment. There is maybe a world where we do it, but
Yeah.
at the moment it's not part of the plan. It was more a love letter to the community and be like, hey guys, we'll make this happen. We actually in confidence, we don't make any money on that. This is literally what it cost us to manufacture, create, and ship to people.
And it's anti-scale. I mean, first off, you've got to build the hardware. That's one thing. But second off, you're limiting yourself to people that have this cartridges. I'm sure, this company's gonna be made or broken by people engaging with this online, right? It's not going to be through this hardware, but this hardware is a cool thing that people could do. I mean, I could see that being super interesting. Now that you've explained it to me, I think it sounds great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome. So you guys jumped on it, and hopefully you get some good early support from your community who requested it, because they're probably pretty thankful, right? I mean, they probably didn't imagine you'd actually build
They're
this.
excited. Come on our Discord, you'll see people very excited about what we do. And like we had so many of these like testers that became friends. And what I do is like many times during the week, I go on our Discord, find our game room, and I share random links, and people click on it, and I play with them. And it's great because they are so true in their feedback. Like they give us feedback live, and like, oh,
That's
this
awesome.
thing like is not good enough. Like change it this way, or I will do that, or can you do this with the platform? And it's a product that is built by the community, and I feel this is so exciting because I feel like I'm with friends, and we're building what will be the dream platform for retro and social games in general, and it's very much like a family project. I don't feel I'm running a company. I feel I'm kind of running a guild of friends, and that we're building something cool. And this is what I want and what I see for what should a company be? A gaming company made with like love and passion for retro.
Well, speaking of retro, and I don't know if you followed my channel or not, but I mostly talk about home arcades. And I'm sure being in the industry, you're aware of the explosion of home arcades. And that's sort of where I think a lot of people's mind would first go in this segment. They'd say, well, we want to appeal to retro gaming. It was pretty obviously an open space. Once one company broke that seal, a bunch of companies followed, and they're all kind of fighting over this space, but they're creating some pretty cool products. But it's not the online service you have. It's going to have challenges, I think, with scaling over the long run and kind of burning people out because you can only buy so many of these arcade machines. All that said, I don't think any of them, some of them haven't even tried, and then others I don't think have completely nailed an online experience. And I think there's a real hunger in the retro arcade community to recreate the arcade experience that, I don't know, you're probably around the same age as me, like that we grew up with. Or people that are older than us grew up with it too, where you'd go into the arcade, you'd play next to your friend. It was an innately social experience. I think even more so than console, which is, to your point earlier, that was pretty social, and that's maybe a big part of your guys' early success. Do you see any kind of opportunity? I mean, I know you got to stay focused, but do you have any thoughts on bringing this social engagement stuff to arcades? Do you think there's chance there or opportunity?
So first of all, I could not agree more to what you're saying, and there is definitely a first of all an opportunity for social gaming and recreating this kind of like cool feeling of being on your arcade, playing with friends or strangers, and things is such a cool thing. The system we built runs on Google Chrome. If your arcade can run Google Chrome, it can run Piepacker. And if any arcade maker is hearing this podcast, I'm more than happy to help implementing the thing and making this easy for you guys to, run Piepacker on your platform. It's going to be best if your arcade machine has a USB port, so you can put a webcam on the top of your arcade machine, so you can really enjoy the full experience of Piepacker. But the system is made to be open. I'm someone who, the first employee at Piepacker is this gentleman that worked for years on LibRetro. Is one of the main contributors of LibRetro, which is RetroArch, the main emulator that is being used across the web. And he was one of the main guys. And when he joined the company, one of the conditions he had was to make sure that a lot of the work we do is open source. And at the end of the day, this is the way we work. We are building something for a community, meaning that I'm not going to be the type of like person we will try to withhold information or the technology. We want to be as open as possible. I believe that entertainment and fun is a right, a human right. So people should definitely have access, no matter the kind of like system they want to use the system on. So if they want to use this on their arcade machine, let's make this happen by having arcade machines running Google Chrome, and this will work.
Yeah, I think you ought to talk to the iArcade guys. They're using a forked version of Android, and that would probably be, of all the systems that are out, that would probably be the one that most readily could be connected.
For sure.
So I don't know if you know them or not, but if
Nope.
you ought to chat with them, or they ought to chat with you, because there could really be some opportunity there.
I would love that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it too. I think right now it's an early market, and just like yours is an early market. And I think a lot of those folks see it as, not all of them, but I think there's this sense of, hey, we want to take over the world and control everything under our banner, but it's just not always realistic. You can't do everything really well. And if you could partner with someone like maybe like you guys who could do really great social, that could be pretty cool. So let's talk about the Kickstarter really quick. And I'm not seeing any of these comments about you guys, but I've seen with some companies that do a Kickstarter, also in this arcade space and beyond, when the public feels like, hey, this company's already established, why are they doing a Kickstarter? I feel like there are valid reasons to do it, and I've defended that on my videos before. But what would you say to someone who asked that? So you guys raised about $3 million, which, by the way, congrats. You guys have an awesome pedigree as a startup. So you've raised a meaningful amount of money. You've recruited a great team. Why go to Kickstarter at that point?
That's an excellent question. So we never anticipated to do hardware, and hardware is very expensive. And the Kickstarter is literally to pay for the PyReader. This is the star of the Kickstarter. It's at the heart of the campaign. This is what we offer exclusively on Kickstarter. And otherwise, we would have found a different way to kickstart, the global launch. But since this was kind of like a very special, product, we felt, okay, we don't want to use the capital we have for the, general company. We want to use this as a separate project and something we do with and for the community, and that's as simple as this.
Makes sense. And then obviously you get some, anytime you have a successful Kickstarter, which you guys have, I think, doubled your goal, something like that.
Yeah, we're over 200% right now. It's quite incredible. I was
awesome.
Not expecting it.
And you always get headlines for that. I feel like maybe this is already happening. I don't know much about the world of Kickstarter, but at a certain point, people are going to start setting their goals really low, because once you hit it and exceed it by that percentage, everyone gets excited. But however you count it, you guys have brought in a lot of money on Kickstarter, so that's exciting. There's clearly enthusiasm about it. So if we set aside the hardware for a minute, now that I understand it, okay, this is sort of a specialty project for certain enthusiasts. If you look at your other core business of this online retro gaming, do you think the licensed games that you guys go out and license and provide versus the ones where people bring their own ROMs to the party, which one do you think is more important to your success?
I think they're both important. I will say the licensed games are more important, and I'm going to elaborate on this. The way we make money on the platform, since the base offer is free, you have 60 games for free. You can play them with your friends. Everything works like the same for everybody. What we sell is cosmetics like Fortnite. We sell 3D mask, AR mask you can wear on your webcam, and you can have like a worms or whatever other brand you like mask on your face, and it makes things more fun. And something I observed when I was working in Facebook, I was looking at data, Instagram, and the impact of AR on people's adoption of video chat and interaction with other human beings. And it's a great way to break the ice. And there are so many other companies doing so, like Snapchat is a perfect example of this. And we felt it was a very cool feature and a way for us to monetize the platform without creating any frictions. If you want a free mask and buy it, this is your choice. So we only make money when we work with licensors and license their games as well as the characters from their games, so we can create 3D masks out of them. When we work with Interplay and Earthworm Jim, we can create masks from these brands. And with the Bring Your Own Game, we don't have this, so we don't make the same kind of like business. So our business is very focused on working with partners, bringing awesome licenses, but also creating novel experiences. We have, and I cannot give too much details, but we have a huge events coming at the end of June with one of the leading firms in the esports space, and it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be very close to Twitch Plays Pokemon, but with retro games, and it's going to be something unique. This is all I can say. But working with partners allow us to really imagine this kind of like super awesome experiences, and this is what Piepacker is about. The Bring Your Own Game is like a smaller fraction of our users. Some people want to go the extra mile and have a really unique experience. So we will give them their own Piepacker server, so they can run their own games and play with their friends. We make, of course, this as clean and legal as possible. So you cannot distribute the ROM through the platform. You are just running the ROM on a web instance, and then this is the video stream that is sent to your friends. It's very much like having them, at home looking at the same screen as you, except the screen is in a different like room or sometimes country or states. And we put everything together so we can create a very high-end premium experience for the users who are interested in kind of like a more advanced use of the platform. We also have HD versions. So because of the upscaling for 3D games using more GPUs, we charge for this, and this is part of the premium bundle. We also give you an early access to some like new games coming on the platform. So this is kind of like for advanced users who really want to get the full Piepacker experience. But
so you get a higher resolution, is that what I heard?
Yeah, higher resolution, and we also have upscaling coming. We have like even very creative stuff. We're working on a 16:9 ratio for Genesis games. So for instance, your Genesis game is like square format.
Yeah, right.
It's 4:3.
How do you do that? How does that work?
So we simply render what's outside of the vision of the screen, and we render everything. And we have some like cool algorithms that do that. So for instance, some of the games will be compatible with this, and when you have the premium membership, it's going to be available. So a lot of these things are still in the making. And what's for sure delivered as part of the premium, package is the Bring Your Own Game. This is working. This will be available day one. The other cool stuff are going to be coming in an ongoing manner, as well as we're going to give you a lot of 3D cool masks that are going to be for free for premium users. So we have a price. Cool stuff.
Do you have a price for that premium tier yet?
So we're still working on it. Right now, we're selling the 6-month offering on Kickstarter, but also comes with like 3D mask and a couple of stuff. Is $40 for 6 months. Our goal is to make this as accessible as possible. So we're really trying to focus on the price and make this a no-brainer for users. And the Kickstarter is definitely the cheapest you'll get it. We made sure that this initial offer is great, And we also offer on the Kickstarter the lifetime option. So you pay once and you will never have to pay anymore.
What's the price on that for Kickstarters for people listening?
Starts at $100 and the early bird was at $90. So
Okay.
you pay $100 once, and for the rest of your life, you can even give this to your kids if you like to.
Nice.
You'll have an access to the premium server and to be able to bring your own game on Piepacker forever.
That's a good way to raise a few bucks non-dilutive. I remember when SiriusXM did that, and there are still people that have that plan. And I mean, that was what a good deal. So there's a chance to get in kind of on the ground floor. I'll put a link below to the Kickstarter. Although I would guess some people that are watching this have probably already been to that page. But yeah, sounds like an amazing deal. So when you work with a licensor and somebody, and let's say I'm on there playing one of those licensed games, like let's say I'm playing Loaded. Does the licensor make money then, or do they only make a percentage of the AR merchandise that I buy?
So we work like Spotify. And when you listen to Beyonce or anybody else on Spotify, the artists, or like the right owner of the artist is going to get paid by the minutes.
Okay.
And we have the same. So when you play 1 minute of a game on Piepacker, the right owner is going to get paid. So we have a first revenue sharing that is we pay by the minutes. The other way we make money together is through a revenue sharing on the 3D mask sales. So we have a revenue splits and we share money there. And we also make money with publishers working on some integrations of their IPs in our own games. So we have some publishers we work with. And like the first game that we released was called Arsène Lupin Gentleman Bomber. It's a Bomberman style game in the universe of Arsène Lupin. If you haven't watched the Netflix show, go watch it. Our game is based on the same book. And
I'm really sorry, but I have a hard time understand what you're saying. Can you say the name of the IP?
Oh, it's Arsène Lupin. Sorry, it's a French name. I'm going to type this in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get that.
How would you pronounce this?
I'll post it below too for folks that are interested.
Can you see this in the chat?
Yes, I see it. Okay.
How would you read that?
In English, in American English, that would be Arsène Lupin.
Okay, so I guess we'll go for Arsène Lupin.
Yeah.
And like this is a very famous book. There was like even like some anime adaptation, Lupin the Third, for instance, very very iconic manga and anime. And there is a Arsène Lupin show on Netflix right now, and it's pretty awesome. And we're basically based on the same book. And in French, it's Arsène Lupin. And this is basically a Bomberman style game, and very awesome. And working on this kind of games, we kind of integrate characters from licensed characters, like Super Smash Bros. Melee. They integrate characters from other universe. We're working on that. So this is another way we make money together.
Interesting. So could you foresee a world where you don't get the conversion numbers you want from free users to buying the AR products to pay for the minutes that they're using, that you might have to put in a cap of some sort? Or are you pretty confident that the revenue will be there to cover the cost? Because you're basically giving away a service that you have to pay for, and you have other ways to make up the money for sure. But do you have thoughts on that, or is that something you'll just have to figure out as you go and as your user base scales?
We did early tests, so and it's public data. If you look at the Kickstarter, the first 2 weeks we sold over 6,000 masks, and wow. I think this is a pretty good indicator.
That's huge.
And you can do the math. Like if you look at the number of backers and money we've generated, the average basket is $176 right now. So people really like or seem to like a lot what we're selling. So
that's awesome.
I'm pretty confident.
All right, so now we got to get back to what the heck is the name from? You got to tell us.
So we know each other a bit better, so I'm able to share that. All right, I'll share the whole story. Please don't judge me. Jules, my co-founder, and I, we've known each other for over 10 years. And by the way we met is very hilarious. We were young at the time and participating to a game jam. So you have to, make a game in 24 hours or 48 hours sometime, or a bit more sometimes. And we participated to the competition, and we arrived last. We were the worst team, literally, of the group. And we were like,
I expected this was going out. I love it even more now. But go on.
We were like, okay, we suck, but let's be friends. And we've been friends for 10 years.
That's great.
And we had a lot of like toy projects on the side with always goofy names and stuff. And one of the toy projects was basically where we went to this Mongolian hot pot together, and we had way too many drinks, and we were a little bit tipsy, and we were talking about, okay, what would be a great business idea? And we started to think about, let's compete with, Amazon and Google and build a better cloud service than them. And I was like, oh my God, this is a great idea. And you've probably watched the TV show Silicon Valley, and there is a
Yeah.
company named Piepacker. And what they're doing is actually a conversational algorithm. So we did our own conversational algorithm for game, not necessarily cloud gaming, but cloud computing in general to build it. It works. And we were like, oh my God, our algorithm works well. And this is it came from a very silly kind of like night and started to become a product. And we're nerds. We're like, okay, we're going to run video games on that. But we're like, yeah, but we need to find a name. And it was like, okay, so the technology we're using for the server was called packing. So we're packing things. And because we were packing games, we called the games the pies because they were sweets. And so we bought the domain name Piepacker. And this was a really, really like kind of like a joke. And it sounded like Piepacker too. And we're like, okay, this is funny. And we would have never imagined that a year later, we will be over 30 employees, investors, Kickstarter, and a real company with a goofy name. But we love it, so we're stick with this.
Yeah, well, and it's so memorable. I feel like a lot of success in names is people like to say it out loud, so they sort of have a built-in free incentive to say it and share it. And then is it memorable? And for my company, for my day job, I picked neither of those things. So I feel like I missed the boat on that. But I always like when someone has a name, it's like sort of fun to say. So it's goofy, but it's definitely fun to say. So I don't know. I like it. I think
Thank you.
I think you're gonna have some success with it. So real quick, if we want to talk about your background, because I said earlier we should get into it. And so you went through Y Combinator, which for anyone watching, if they're not familiar, it's sort of the preeminent startup accelerator. It just means you have an idea, maybe you have a little bit of early evidence that idea works, and you get accepted because maybe you're really bright, or you have a great team, or you have a great idea, or whatever. But it's very, very competitive, and you get into it. So you guys went through Y Combinator. You yourself, like you already mentioned it, but you have a background, head of research strategy at Twitch, tremendous position. You worked at Facebook at a high level. So I guess, what was your experience like going through Y Combinator? Is it all it's kind of cracked up to be? I've heard competing narratives about it from people that have gone through it. And then, what do you feel your experience of the past best helps here? I'm guessing Twitch, but I don't know. Maybe you learned a lot at Facebook.
There is an interesting story here about Y Combinator. So Y Combinator, like as you said, is like this very famous incubator that created and helped companies like Twitch, Stripe, Airbnb, Dropbox to emerge. And they're amazing people. And it's much easier to get into the Ivy League than it is to get into Y Combinator percentage-wise.
Yep.
And I did not want to do it. I felt it was like a bad idea. They offer the same deal to everybody, which is like 7% of your company for 150K.
It's expensive money.
And I was like, dude, look at the team we have. I'm not going to do this. This is not the best idea. And at the time, one of our first, advisor and someone who was really influential for the life of Packer is named Tom Bullish. For people who don't know the guy, is actually one of the co-founders of Zynga, the big internet gaming company that created games like Farmville or Mafia War. And he's a super sharp, smart guy, and I love him. And he was like, you should do it. This is a good idea. And he really kicked my ass to apply to Y Combinator. And we decided to apply. The next day they call us back, and they feel very excited about this. We have an interview. They love what we do. And they say, yes, we would like to have you. But when they say yes, you have to formally accept it. And at the time, this was just in the beginning of the pandemic, and I was still not sure when to join Y Combinator. And I just traveled from San Francisco to France because I wanted to move back to France at the time with my wife. And we were in a small, teeny Airbnb, and it was 3 a.m. Paris time. And I received a phone call from, one of the people at Y Combinator to get my formal confirmation. Like, so what do you think about our offer? Are you joining Y Combinator? And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure I want to do this. and my wife was trying to sleep next, like in the same room because I was in a small Airbnb. And she started to get very much like, Benjamin, like, I want to sleep, just like say yes already. And I got so scared. I was like, yes, yes, like, and actually, this is how we got into Y Combinator.
You got P-whipped into Y Combinator, basically. Man, that's amazing. I hope the other person could hear her through the phone, because that makes it even better.
I don't think it did, but she was like, I just want to sleep. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to say yes, and we'll see where it goes.
Nice. And then what about your experience at Twitch? I mean, how did that help you here? I imagine you would have had a crazy pulse on gaming trends in that position, but
I think it's everything, like before Twitch and Facebook, working at Gameloft, Ubisoft, EA, really being there with the industry, involving with the industry has helped me. And like it's probably telling a little bit my age, but I started to work in the gaming space when freemium was not a thing. When my job as a data scientist was not a thing either, and I had to create both. And for instance, when I was Gameloft, I'm the one who created the data science departments and grew it, and helped the company to transition from making premium games to freemium games, and it was exciting. And growing with this industry, understanding the different trends, getting the sense of like how social can be important. My team, when I was working in Facebook, of the products I was like supporting through data science was Facebook Watch, basically watching videos together with friends and chatting at the same time, part of Facebook Live. And then when I arrived at Twitch, a lot of the things I did was about recommendation, understanding a little bit, what works, what doesn't work. So I think this is the accumulation of experiences, but also as a gamer, like in parallel of this, I've been in love with gaming for my entire life and playing so many different games. My Steam is a shame because I haven't played like probably a third of the games I've bought, but like I'm so in love with this industry. So building all of this through time really helped me to solidify what Piepacker should be.
That's amazing. And then if you had that project at Gameloft, you transformed that company. I hope you had some options or something when you were working there, because that had to have driven tremendous value for the company.
I was just part of the chance, like there were so many amazing people.
I'm sure, but still, that's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, good on you. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else you want to tell folks about Piepacker before we go? Any kind of final parting words?
I guess the final parting words is, we do see Piepacker as a way to transform gaming. And there is this story I always tell people. Do you know what was the first commercial on TV in the US?
No idea.
It's a hard question. So the first commercial on TV in the US was for a watch. And this was literally, you can find this on YouTube. It's literally—
I'm sure it was print, like text.
Exactly. It was a black screen with a picture in the middle and a watch. And there was someone talking over this and was like, buy this watch.
That's how it always is when there's a new medium. People don't know how to use it at first, every time.
Exactly. But what's interesting is that at the time, there was the technology for animated commercial with either like actors or, just like, drawings moving, something that was not just a static picture. But we came from the radio era. So we didn't know better than talking over something to sell it.
Right.
And I think this is the same with cloud gaming, My dream is that in 5 years, people will look back at cloud gaming and be like, hey, how people did without video chats before? What a cloud gaming without a video chat, that doesn't make any sense. And for us, this is what we see. I believe gaming is social. I believe that gaming is about sharing, enjoying things with your friends. It's a way to connect in a very, very deep manner with the people who matter the most for you. And this is kind of like what we wanted to create with Piepacker. So I really hope that we'll continue going in this direction and bring more experiences than just retro games to the table of like, social cloud gaming.
Awesome. No, I think that's amazing. I think you're exactly right. History's shown over and over, new medium enters the fray, and we've got to change how we think, and it always takes time. And it always seems to be this. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know a ton about these cloud services and the intricacies that make one work or the other. But for me, watching it from afar, it seems like it comes down to really small decisions. and it's minutia almost that add up, and then it becomes really appealing and approachable, and you want to jump in and you want to bring your friends. And I've seen services that on paper sounded amazing, but they just did not work. And I don't always feel like I know why they didn't work, but it seems to be sometimes the small things. It sounds like you have a lot of small things in your mind about what you want to see and what you've already put into Piepacker. So I'm excited to see it evolve. You're welcome back on the show anytime. Benjamin, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I had a blast. It was an amazing interview. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
my pleasure. And we'll have to actually play next time, and then we can actually show the service.
Yes, I will love this.
All right, sounds good. Take care, man.
You have a good one. Bye-bye.
Hey, consider hitting that join button to support the channel, and thanks so much for watching.